Good morning. This is John Shaw, Director of the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. Thanks for joining another edition of our series, Meet the Mayor. And we're really delighted today to be joined by the Mayor of East St. Louis, Mayor Robert Eastern III. Mayor is from East St. Louis, born and bred, as he likes to say, went to school there, joined the Navy, came back to East St. Louis, had a nice career in business, worked for the city council, actually was elected for three terms, and then 2019 was elected mayor of East St. Louis on an agenda of revitalizing the city and getting it moving again. So we thought it'd be a great time to check in with him and see how he's doing. And he joins us from his office today, although the backdrop is California. He's celebrating a little bit. He just had a grandson in California, so that might explain the San Francisco backdrop. But Mr. Mayor, good to see you.
I'm good, John. Good morning, and thank you for having me today. I'm so excited about a conversation. And yes, that explains the backdrop. I'm celebrating my grandson this morning, so I'm so excited today.
Congratulations. Great. Well, Mr. Mayor, tell us about growing up in East St. Louis. I mean, as I was doing research, I realized it wasn't that long ago, I guess it was 1950, that East St. Louis was the fourth largest city in Illinois. Obviously, it's been an important part of Illinois' history. Like a lot of industrial communities, it's struggled as the economy has changed. And yet there's still kind of a spirit and a vivacity there that's quite striking. So tell us a little bit about both the opportunities and the challenges of growing up in East St. Louis.
Well, actually, growing up in East St. Louis, I had a very awesome, my childhood was awesome growing up in the city of East St. Louis. It was a thriving, hustling and bustling city, at that time in the 70s and the early, in the 80s and the late 90s, 70, between 100 to 70,000 people was it there as residents and stuff. And we had a lot of corporate citizens there. There was a lot of businesses there. So, East St. Louis was a great place to grow up. We had our challenges as any other inner cities, across the country, it was no different from that. But, there was 2 parks, 3 high schools, a lot of activities for the kids and the children to do, participate in, sports, everything from sports to the arts, Catherine Dunham Museum, everything and anything in between, anything you wanted to imagine to be, you could get there right there in East St. Louis. So, it was a very exciting time growing up in East St. Louis, during those times, and as when I went away and came back from the Navy, you start seeing different changes and challenges as so good people started moving out the city and the tax base started to drop, those things became a little bit more challenging to have here in the city.
Well, tell us about the Navy. What was that like? How did that shape your development?
Well, the Navy was awesome. I didn't know what I was in this for, right? When I joined the Navy, obviously, so I joined Navy and, got to see the world. So I thought, but I ended up in California, and I did my stint of tour duty in Desert Storm, Desert Shield, came back home to the California. Then I was on the ship, the LST 1195, Barber County. It was a amphibious assault ship. So we had Marines on the ship. From there, the ship got decommissioned and I served out my tour duty at the Naval Medical Center Hospital, which was formerly known as Balboa Hospital, which is across the street from Balboa Park in San Diego. I had a wonderful experience there. It taught me about discipline, about attention to detail, and the finite thing of working together, for the common good of one goal.
Right. Well, so then you ran for city council, I think in 2007, was elected. What was your agenda? What were you trying to do? You served, I think, for about 3 terms on the city council. But when you entered city government, what was your hope?
Well, when I entered in city government, again, you know what you want to do, just like in the Navy or going to college and just the other things. I didn't really know until I actually got there the real challenges that the city of East St. Louis were facing. And my thing is I wanted to get in and just be a spark, and try to bring that community activism back from on the city council perspective. And I wanted to bring the community together. So those were my initiatives, trying to do different things outside the community and shed a different light on the city of East St. Louis. And so that the story that's written, it's not actually who we are.
Well, your race in 2019 was a difficult one. You ran against an incumbent mayor. There was also, I think, a former mayor who was running, another person as well. Tell us about that race. I know your theme was revitalizing East St. Louis. Your theme was called "The Heart for the People." Tell us about your race in 2019.
Yeah, it was a heart for the people with a passion for change. So, anything that comes from the heart, I believe, reaches the heart. And I was very passionate about that. So the race was very, it was a challenge. It had its challenges, as any race does. But I was steadfast in the mark that we were trying to do, and we overcome a lot of obstacles, during that election cycle. The former mayor, she did an outstanding job in her service, and I still commend her, and we still talk, from time to time, and try to remain, and we're colleagues, because she still saves in the city, and she wants the best for the city, as do I, so that with that theme being heart from the people and passion for the change, everything since then, since the race until the present, I've been doing everything from my heart, because I wanted to try to really be that change that change agent in the city of East St. Louis. So that race, it was a tale of two cities, because you had two incumbent mayors that both live in the city, former incumbent mayor, that also resides in the city. So it split. The city was kind of tales of two cities, So I was able to win the election, and here I sit today, trying to rewrite the story, or not. I take it out, not rewrite the story, but just write the correct story, and so that can be heard from the city of East St. Louis.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I saw you in an interview, and it was maybe March of 2019, just before the race. And the gentleman questioned you said, "So are you going to develop a new comprehensive plan for the city of East St. Louis?" And you kind of smiled. And you said, "There's a whole shelf full of plans. We don't need another plan." You said we need to do 4 or 5 things really aggressively and really intently. And the first one you talked about was cleaning up the city physically. And I was struck by the fact that I think that you had decided not to have the mayor's inaugural gala and actually use some of those funds for a cleanup effort in the city. Tell us about the importance of cleaning it up, and tell us how that's going.
Well, the importance of cleaning up, when people ride through your city, they see a clean city, they think it's a healthy and thriving city. It removes the somber thinking of the citizens and the people that's traveling through your city, and it becomes, I used to say infectious, right? But I took that out because infectious means, so people think infectious, you think of something that's bad. So it becomes more absorbent, right? So it has started to absorb inside the community, inside citizens, and to date, that little seed that was planted is phenomenal. We're coming off a weekend of last weekend was Earth Day. We had over 70 volunteers that was out cleaning along State Street in this last Saturday. It was a phenomenal event, well attended, and it's a citizens led event. By Empire 13, the rec team, Moms on Demand, Community Lifeline, citizens-led event. So it shows that the citizens are becoming more aware and more engaged in what's coming. And that's what we want, right? That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure that I was able to, when I say I, not me as just the mayor, but our administration, the city council, the city manager, and everybody can have this absorbing and attitude when it comes to being clean, and that came off, just a conversation like you and I are having off one of my friends. And he was like, Mayor, you really need to look at trying to knock all the trees down and try to clean it up. So, the city doesn't look the way it looks. And we've been doing that, it's still, we have some challenges, right? Because everything is funding based, but we are making a mark and we are trying to make a difference.
Well, I noticed in your newsletter too that you had some kind of an award for best yard of the month to just
Yes.
instill, I guess, pride and to get it in kind of a fun, competitive way too.
Exactly. Anytime, and it was random, it was random. It was kind of like, I tease like our version of the public clearinghouse, right? You're sitting in your house and next thing you know, you get a knock at the door from me and the and the Rotary Club. So we are a Rotary city now, Rotarian city right now. So we got about a charter back. That was important to me, to have those other outside agencies or those other side time agents that can also tell the true story of the city of East St. Louis. So the citizens that won those awards, man, they were just blown away and knocked off their feet because they never knew it was coming.
Great. Well, another big challenge, of course, was budget, and I think you inherited a deficit of about $5.5 million. You right out of the block, you took a pay cut. The city manager took a pay cut. There was some layoffs. Tell us about how that's playing out, and particularly also, I mean, COVID obviously has hurt all of our communities. But the other side is that there's been a fair amount of cash from the federal government that has flown into your city. I think about $100 million over various programs. So tell us about your fiscal situation in East St. Louis.
Well, it was definitely a challenge when we first came in. So when we first came in, also we had a $5 million deficit. The audits were not complete. Took office in 2019. The audits was not. The last audit that we had on file was 2014, I believe. So to date, we're all caught up on our audits. We're about to finish up our 2020 audit, which is in line with most of the cities around the state of Illinois. And the deficit has been drastically reduced. COVID, it was definitely a shocker, to all of us, right, in this country and in the world. But what it did was, and it actually, while the world slowed down, it allowed East St. Louis to catch up. So why, it allowed us to catch up and really hone in on those things that we really had to do, administratively, and the policies and procedures and the things that we have to do in East St. Louis. So we're not perfect yet. We're not, or we never will be perfect, or we're not actually where we need to be. But we're a lot further than where we were, and I'm so excited because those ARPA funds and this, that, and the other allowed a city like East St. Louis to really reinvigorate itself and able to do things and spark, certain things inside the city hall and inside our local business community.
Well, another really big boost to your city was a decision by Amaranth, Illinois, to build about a $10 million solar facility in East St. Louis. And I want to read a sentence or two that you said when the announcement was made and have you talked about it. You said, "Today's groundbreaking is more than just another energy product. Finally, someone is standing up for us and saying we deserve the benefits of an emerging industry and the chance to revitalize the core of our city." Talk about the importance of this Amaranth project.
Anytime you get a corporate citizen or a company like Amaranth to become a corporate citizen in your city, and be purposeful about and their intent about trying to do something of a project of that magnitude, it says a lot. It says that hey, East St. Louis, we hear you. State of Illinois, we hear you. The law was written specifically for underserved communities, and they took that by the bull by the horn. And they said, you know what, we want to put that in East St. Louis, because they deserve that. So they took a piece of property that was a blight and turned it into a bright. It's gonna, it's a $10 million project right across the street from my high school. So now what that does, it gives the kids with, children are naturally inquisitive, correct? So now it's like, hey, what's going on over there? So now that sparks the interest of a young man or a young woman that wants to further their education, or just want to have a good trade, a good job. These are going to be some good jobs here in the city. That partnership with Amaranth is going to expound our relationship with our schools and with our children, with our CTE program, teaching these kids the crafts and how to be, what is it going to take to be able to work on these solar panels and these, that, and the other, and just having that partnership, and injecting, taxes back into the city. That's a good tax base, a strong tax base. So when you have again, we're trying to tell the true story about the city of East St. Louis, where where you can come in and you can do business in the city of East St. Louis. So when you have a partner like Amaranth, standing toe to toe with you or standing side by side with you, so you can go toe to toe with those people that have so much to offer, it speaks volumes, about the transition and the transformation of East St. Louis.
And I think this project actually has like a small demonstration area for students can come in and just understand how the solar industry works and so forth. Is that right?
Yeah. That's correct. That's correct. And they're being very, like I said, it's being very, very purposeful and intently done so that the students and the citizens feel like they're involved in this project. Our greatest natural resource is our children, right? And you have to pour back into them. And if you don't pour back into them, then the community dies, the generation dies, and so that's our greatest natural resource. So we want to be intentional about how we engage with our children and how we do things with our children so that they can come back or stay here in the city of East St. Louis, because one of the jobs is mayor is building a new city, right? I'm not building this. We want to make it comfortable for the seniors and those of my age bracket, but we got to build a city for the kids and the children that's behind us. What is it going to take for them to come back home, to be engaged? So we're very intentional and focused about that.
Well, another theme, of course, was public safety, and it's important. And you actually just announced, I think in January, a major new expansion at the Emerson Park Metro. I think that's also a $10 million project that will be online next year. Tell us about that.
So that's a project that's through the county and bi-state and the Metro Transit. So they're going to move that. We have a 911 center in the city hall here, and they're going to move all the 911 center, and that expansion is going to be right there on off of Ball Avenue. And again, they're taking a area of the city that is not necessarily a blighted area, but it has been some major development there, right? And it's going to enhance it. So now you have this safety component right there on one of the busiest sections of the city, right there. Off of 64, you can see it right off the highway. It's going to be very visible. It's going to be, and it's intentional about where we're trying to move the city. There's been a lot of development on that side of town. You had the Columbus Square, Parson Place, the Jazz to Walk Circle building, and there's been millions and millions of dollars spent over there, and it's heavy populated in that area. So we want to make sure that people that's traveling through the Metrolink, they can see that we make an intentional change about public safety. Public safety is the foundation to build a city on, right? So, and we're very excited about all the things around public safety that's coming to the East St. Louis. Some things I can talk about right now, some things I can't talk about right now, but I can tell you that public safety is the driving force behind everything.
Well, in one of your interviews, you talked about just you say partnership. You said East St. Louis needs to do some good things, but so does St. Clair County needs to help. Illinois needs to help. The federal government needs to help. Talk about the important kind of complementary roles of these governments.
Well, last time I checked, East St. Louis was a city that's in St. Clair County. St. Clair County is a county that's in the state of Illinois. Illinois is a state that's within the United States. So these things is very pivotal, and it's important that, it's intentional focus for us to work together. When as these granting opportunities and this, that, and the other or among us and present it, when you dive into them, you really see that, they want to see a real collaborative effort, with the cities, the counties, and the states working together so you can be competitive about these grants, and that has happened. We were, it came off, the Broadview Hotel, was able to get a federal earmark. And I do believe, and I know for a fact that, one of the reasons why they were able to get that federal earmark is because they were able to demonstrate the city interjected funds, the county is working with them, and as well as the state. So it just made perfectly good sense for the federal government to want to jump in and carry them over the hump, if you will. So it's very, those type of things are needed, especially for a city that's inner city that's trying to pull itself up by the bootstraps, that's across the river from a major metropolitan city, which is St. Louis. That's the only thing that should divide us is that, and I stated this, it's a Mississippi, but that's a Mason dictionary line, right? The only thing that should separate us is the Mississippi. But our regional, it's need to have regional change in order for us to be truly effective.
Well, I saw the inaugural speech of the St. Louis mayor about a year ago, and one of the things she said is this kind of regional sense of cooperation. Gave a shout out, I think, to you personally. And I read an essay by someone who said, "Wouldn't it be wonderful, profitable, and optically magnificent if both sides of the Mississippi River mirrored each other in development, tourism, safety, and beauty?" Talk about the relationship between your community and St. Louis.
Well, as you mentioned that, Mayor Jones, Shara Jones, she reached out to me and she asked me to speak at her inaugural event. I was blown away because, and I stated that, I said, I don't think in my lifetime, or St. Louis mayor has ever reached across the water, and asked a East St. Louis mayor or anyone from Illinois to be a part of their inaugural celebration. So that, I was truly humbled by that. But that showed me as a testament to they're extending the olive branch to work with us, and she has been spot on with that. We have many conversations and, and those things that we can collaborate on, we're working on, if that's even business opportunities, she's, or putting people that, the business quite don't fit in the city of St. Louis. She has been sending those people over here to have conversations with us, to say, look, it doesn't work right here in St. Louis, but it may work in East St. Louis, which is still in the region, right? So it's still that impact of jobs, economic empowerment, and pulling the city up by the bootstraps, because we all face the same thing again in the inner cities. They're just bigger than us, but we face the same challenges.
Well, your theme is called City of Champions, and I know back in the day when I was playing high school sports, the one thing you didn't want to do is play a team from East St. Louis. They were always really, really tough and competitive, particularly in football, basketball, etc. So talk about just even kind of the civic pride of both athletics. I mean, music. Everyone from Chuck Berry to Tina and Ike Turner. Miles Davis. Talk about just kind of the cultural and athletic traditions of East St. Louis.
So when we coin ourselves the City of Champions, I'm just going to say one word, and we can just really drop the mic, as the kids say, and stop there. I'm just going to say Jackie Joyner Kersee. The world's greatest athlete, and a true ambassador of our city. We love her. We support her. She supports us, and she really loves our city. And the city of East St. Louis, though we're small, we're very prideful in our city, and we're very proud of our city. We have people that you name, and then there's other people, the Hudlin brothers, that are critically acclaimed movie directors and producers, that made a lot of films, that are from the city of East St. Louis. Miles Davis, all those guys, the Brian Cox, LaFonso Ellis, Conzo Martin, all these people are going around the world and changing things. The city of East St. Louis have had even though we're small inside, we have had numerous of people that have went out and changed things in the world. Jackie Joyner Kersee, Miles Davis, these people have helped rewrite some of the things that, how we look at things today in their respective fields. So the civic pride is, Catherine Dunham, museum, is a whole Catherine Dunham technique. And, and she's, has adopted East St. Louis as her home. The museum sits there and is thriving, and they're coming back, making changes and renovations to that. The home that she lives in is across the street from one of our elementary schools, and they're renovating her home, trying to bring back those that civic pride. Miles Davis in the House of Miles, they just took that house and where he grew up in, and now is a museum, and they teach classes. They're free, so these things are people that's doing because they love East St. Louis, right? And they love the things that these people have went out and do, and they want to keep their legacy alive. It's about keeping their legacy alive.
Well, Mayor, we actually have an event, a Metro East event with geared for young men, and we actually had the last one before COVID interrupted us for a couple of years was in your community at the Jackie Joyner Kersee facility, and it's an amazing, beautiful, impressive place. We really enjoyed being there.
Well, we enjoy having Jackie Joyner. They take a lot of pride in that building. We take a lot of pride there, and there's a lot of intentional focus around that building. Around that facility, I should say, there's going to be 20. Well, actually, they expanded now. They started out at 20, So there's going to be 30 new homes that's going to be built right there in that same area of that Jackie Jordan Kersey Center. And there's going to be another major development here that's coming up real soon that we're going to be making an announcement. I'm going to be very excited about making that. So that area of town, is going to be just hustling and bustling here in the next years to come.
Great. Well, Mayor, we've had a couple questions sent in. One of them is from Dion from East St. Louis, who wants to know how development can be worked that is beneficial both to citizens and investors. Is there sometimes a tension, or how do you try to solve that dilemma?
Well, that's a great question, Dion, and I appreciate you for that. So we're very intentional. So as developers come in, and like we talked about the Broadview Hotel. So the Broadview Hotel is a $37 million project. So we're very intentional about wanting to stay focused on making sure that it's a $37 million project. We want to make sure we have local contractors, right? That's part of that project, local vending, that's a part of that project, and I'm not unapologetic about that. I want to make sure the East St. Louis contractors and businesses are first at the threshold. They got to be ready, and we're working on getting them ready, so they can't be. We're going to start having these classes, and we're going to start having sessions where, whatever they may fall short in as far as that. And if that may be partnering them up with a company that has the things in line, partnering them up so that everybody can be at the table, when it's time to work and make a profit for your business and take care of your families.
We have a question from Tracy from East St. Louis, who asked about the plans for correcting the sewer issues in the Edgemont area between 76th and 86th Street. I know these are one of the challenging issues for all mayors, infrastructure. Talk about that if you could.
Well, the infrastructure, and Tracy, appreciate the question. The infrastructure is definitely a challenge. Our infrastructure is no different than any other city, any other inner city, is over 100 years old. And definitely needs some work. And we are working through those issues. We're mitigating through that. We're working with Ducks Unlimited to work out. So it's a grant we just applied for, and a grant as well as a federal earmark with Ducks Unlimited to help with the roll-off area in the Edgemont area, right there off of Marybelle in that wetland area. We're working as a very intentional focus on that. We actually, I talked with the city manager and a few of our council people. We're getting ready to have a Saturday a session, if you will, so we can begin to button up, because we already have buttoned up that infrastructure plan, so we can be at the table and have strong consideration for the infrastructure dollars that's coming down from Capitol Hill and as well as in Springfield. So we hear you out there in Edgemont. We understand that there's an infrastructure problem. I live here, and I ride the cities, and I understand what we're going through. Public Works Department, it has been decimated through, our Public Works Department has been decimated because of financial reasons. The money is not there. 8 people, in Public Works, but we still have the same land and we still have the same sewers. So it's hard to maintain those things that will help mitigate some of those sewer issues. There's ever been talk, about talking about working with something with the county and proposing, some type of a tax or something like that for the region, because we know that water runs downhill, correct? Water runs downhill. So we sit low, and the fresh water runs from these other Belleville, the Shilohs, the Fairview Heights, and all this area into our sewer systems, right? So now you do these mass developments up there, and you create more water that's coming in our sewer systems, and it becomes problematic for us. So how do we mitigate that? So go back to your earlier question. Those one of those sessions where the city, the state, and the county needs to get in the room and figure out, hey, wait a minute, we got the rainwater that's running down from these areas, but the city of East St. Louis and Cahokia Heights, they have their own sewer issues, but those combination sewer line is becoming real problematic for cities of our size and cities in our financial state.
Well, Mr. Mayor, every mayor I talk to says the same thing, which is it's a part-time job on paper, but it sure isn't part-time job in actuality. And I know I've seen you in a couple of interviews kind of make that same point. Um, One, just talk about the demands of the office. I know when you ran, you said you're going to approach it as a full-time job. And also tell us a little bit the structure. I know you have a strong city council manager, city manager. So talk about your relationship with them.
Well, we have this city manager form of government. I think it works for us, at such a time, and I take it again. Yeah, I do take it as a not as a part-time and title, as a full-time, because my heart is in it. I'm not necessarily not at all really getting into the day-to-day operations of the city, because that's a city manager handle. But my job is to go out here and try to make those connections, and you cut the ribbons and do all those type of things, but you still want to try to bring in those businesses and those type of corporate people that want to be in here and try to create a new foundation of stability here in the city of East St. Louis. And I think we've done that. We have our challenges. We don't always agree, and we shouldn't always agree, because we're different. That's what makes the world go round, and that's what makes us be better, when we're challenged. I tell people, of staff, and I say this, and I mean this, it's just not a coin phrase. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want to walk in the room and I have all of the answers. If I got to do that, then I need to get in another room or get people in the new room. We need to be challenged. We need to look outside we need to look outside the box. But the best way to look outside the box is not to put yourself inside the box at first. So we want, so we're stepping outside those nuances and all those things that are problematic, and all those things that has held us back for so long, and we're looking forward and moving forward, and our trajectory is up.
Well, tell me the best part of the job and tell me the most challenging part of the job.
The best part of the job is the citizens. When you are able to go and you do something, just yesterday and actually today. So yesterday we're planning a big 618 event, it's that area code on. So June 18th, we're planning this big 618 event for our city. And to really get those people in the room, and we start working through how it's going to look and this, that, and to see the excitement that they're having, that's what makes it worth it. That's what makes it worth it. Also, today is our high school prom. So we're doing a pre-prom down at City Hall. So I had it decorated and this, that, and the other, so the kids can walk down the red carpet and celebrate them. They need to be celebrated. So, and let them know, hey, we love you guys. We're proud of you. This is your city. This is your city hall, and let them feel welcome. So those are the best part of the job. The worst parts of the job, I haven't found that out yet, because I love it. So when I don't know what the worst part of the job, because I haven't had, I have had days where it's challenging. I have some real challenging days, but I haven't got to the worst part of the job yet, because I love it so much and I love my city, and I'm just excited and I'm enthused about the trajectory of the city of East St. Louis. So I can't answer the other question yet, Jim. John. So I don't know what the worst part of the job is yet. I haven't found that out, So when I find that out, I'll let you know.
Okay. Well, some mayors say that working with Springfield can be frustrating, that they don't think Springfield fully understands the problems of running cities and communities. And they also, complain about unfunded mandates. Is that, talk about your relationship with Springfield. I know you have a really strong state rep, Greenwood, who we've dealt with quite a bit, and Senator Belt. I mean, really strong leaders from your community.
Well, even with those, I wouldn't necessarily call it the worst part. I would call it, challenging. Yes. Getting people to understand what you're trying to do. But you just stated we got a strong representative, we got a strong state senator, and just not Representative Greenwood and Senator Belt, also Jay Hoffman. He works well with us. So everybody understands us. So it's about getting in the room and understanding what the plan is. And I think once you have identified and you have worked through whatever nuances of the plan is, it's just about trying to fit the pieces of puzzles together. Either I'm really, really lame or overly optimistic, but I do believe that there's always a way, to find a solution. I state this too. There's never any problems. There's only solutions. Now, we may not agree on the solution, but there's a solution to every problem, and we just have to find the right solution that works for the masses.
Well, you gave a talk, I think it was at prayer breakfast in 2021, in which the theme was finish what you started. In the context of being mayor of East St. Louis, how do you finish what you started? What will success look like for you?
Success will look like for me is again finishing what we started. As you talked about those comprehensive plans that we had, that we paid. Finish what you started. As you talk about projects that have got started and sputtered out, or didn't have the right funding, or nobody really took the bull by the horns, i.e. the Broadview Hotel, the Choice Neighborhood Awards that the housing authorities are working on. You collaborate with those entities, and you collaborate with those initiatives, and you take the bull by the horn and you finish what you start. When you have children that's going to school in the city of East St. Louis and this, that, and the other. And everybody's not going off to college. Everybody is not going to play football. So they're going to stay here. So you partner with a company like Amaranth, right? And other entities that help bring jobs back to the community so that those people, those kids that are not left behind, they just don't fit in that in the norm of whatever that may be to go off and do those things. They're still here. You finish what you started by bringing something for them here to have them to be good corporate citizens. So those are the things, when you say you finish by what you started, you take what things are tangible that is here, and you create and you nurture those things, and you make those things blossom, and you finish what you start. And the fruits of your labor will definitely show.
Well, Mayor, when you talk to young people and they maybe in a certain way say, so what have you learned in your career? You've been in politics, you've been in business, you've been a mayor. You've done a lot of things. When you're talking to young people, what do you tell them what you've learned?
Most the thing is always be positive. There's always it's positivity. And I'm a very spiritual person, and I know that God leads me. And and you have to be able to listen. You have to be able to hold. It has to be something that holds your person in check, you in check. Something that you have to be humble to. That you can understand that it's not you, it's not me, it's not none of us that's making this world go round and making these things go happen. For me, it's God, it's the Creator. That's the driving force. So when we talk about everything we just talked about today, and we talk about the mayor vision, this, that, and other, it's really not my vision. It's his vision. I'm just the vessel that's selected at such a time to be able to administer his vision. And so I think I submit to them and say, look, it's not about you. It's about, what God is calling you to do. And only you and he can figure that out. And once you figure that out, you ask him to guide you and put those people around you to carry out his vision. And I guarantee you will succeed.
Well, let me ask you on kind of a lighter note, how you like to relax. How do you unwind after all the various things you're doing?
Well, it's funny, I picked up a hobby, during COVID. I DJ, so I love music. I'm a lover of music. But now I got this grandson, so I'm gonna be relaxing with him, right? With my daughter, she was in high school, she ran track. So anything around activities with the children and stuff like that that's lighthearted. I love doing reading. I need to get off this extra 30 pounds of COVID weight that I got. So working out and all that stuff is becoming more of a passion of mine. But those type of things I do to relax, just anything that's peaceful and serene,
Great. Well, Mr. Mayor, it's been really a delight talking with you. And I will say that we're going to be having an event this fall with the Metro East group. And so we'd love to maybe have you come in and give a keynote speech or meet with the students. I know for us, it's a really important and inspiring event, and we think you'd be a great addition. So we can talk about that offline. But want to thank you for your time and all the great work you're doing in East St. Louis.
All right. Thank you. And if it's important to you and if anything's around the children, it's definitely important to me. So if time works, and I'll definitely be there. I appreciate you for having me.
Great. Thanks so much, Mr. Mayor. Thanks to all you for watching another edition of our series, Meet the Mayor. We'll have this video on our website tomorrow. Please show it to family and friends. Thanks for supporting the Institute, keeping the memory of Paul Simon alive and well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.